Hey y'all, welcome back to Leafs Late Night. Remember to head on over to the Inside the Rink YouTube channel where you can find all of the videos like this one and our last one and the ones before that and all of other podcasts and all kinds of hockey updates. So go on and subscribe to Inside the Rink on YouTube and follow us on Twitter/X, whatever you call it, and on Instagram at Leafs Late Night. Welcome back. I am joined by Galaxy Bean and Darty Broder. We got a couple friends on the show tonight for a change instead of a duo. So we got lots to talk about. It's been a while. We've got Leafs dropping 5 of 7 games, but finally winning one here with Calgary. Some weirdness with Alex Galchenyuk that we'll get to later. And just some general what's going on, what's going wrong, and how do we fix it. So all that and more tonight
What's
on
going on?
Hi, this is Mike Ross, public address announcer for your Toronto Maple Leafs, and this is the Leafs Late Night Podcast, your post-game destination. And now, your starting lineup: Roscoe, the Fanalist, Southey, Biener, and Darty Brodeur on the Leafs Late Night Podcast.
All right, so welcome back. We've got, like I said, lots to talk about. Things have been very nuts to good in Leafs Nation. Got a couple wins, but I mean, like I said, 5 of 7. The only 2 wins they have in those 7 games are tonight against Calgary and that game against Tampa, where they had no business going to overtime, let alone a shootout tonight. So it's tough to even give them credit for those ones. Handing Tampa one of their 4 OTLs, which puts them ahead of the Leafs in points because Tampa's, I think the same record otherwise for wins and losses. It's not been great, but the way that we're going to handle this is we're going to sandwich things, make it something not so good, and then something that has been good, because there are things on this team that have been good. So why don't we start with one of those in Mr. William Nylander, who hits 14 point in a 14 game point streak. How many points does he have in this streak? I don't have it in front of me. It's like 19.
Standby.
I know his total points are like 21 or something. Is it in the 20s? So
Is it over 20?
I don't know what the streak. I wouldn't know what the streak is. So
it's 14. I know the streak. I just don't know the number.
21, but that's probably going into tonight.
Okay, so 21, potentially 24. Don't correct us if we're wrong. So,
but I was
William,
right. So.
Attaboy. And thanks for coming back. We missed you. So William Nylander, I've noticed he has scored a lot of goals just dancing his way to the front of the net and tucking it in. I'd say about half of them are that, and half of them have been just bullet shots. So what do we do here with William Nylander? Because, I mean, the team's been playing like garbage. He's been fantastic, and his dollar value just keeps ticking up. What the hell are we going to do here? Who wants to start? I mean, how do you pay him? We don't have the money to pay him.
Cap is going up. We've got, between Klingberg and Bertuzzi, we've got almost 10 million there.
Yeah, and look, who do we put in then? Like, we're just going to be filling the team out with league mins. I mean, it is only one more year until Tavares is off after that, but like, it's just, we're already seeing how rough it is to try to fill in the rest of this team. Like, we only have the top 6 performing, and that's about it. The third line's starting to pick things up, but
I just gotta interrupt you for a second. That we're not getting rid of Bertuzzi, all right? That's stupid. That'll be up there with the dumbest things that the Leafs will ever do in the history of the Leafs. Like, yes, these guys are on a bit of a dry spell, but Bertuzzi's not as bad as everybody's pointing out. Klingberg, however, has been pretty garbage. But again, it's where we look sometimes as Leafs fans. Like, we have to be honest to ourselves. We're pretty crappy to our defensemen. So, and he's been a pretty crappy defenseman. So
we'll get to Klingberg, but let's make sure this is on Nylander.
We're always going to be harder on them. I think there's some sloppiness going on here. I don't know what it is. Like, Bean and I got into a little tiff back and forth on the group chat about Justin Hall, but it's all fun and games. It's all a joke. At the end of the day, nobody actually wants Justin Hall back. Like, it's just we really need solid D. No better way to put it. Like, it doesn't matter. It's not about the quality of the D. It's just they need to exist.
No, and I do want to talk about that, but just for starters, as Nylander has been playing so good, I do want to start with something that's good. So, any thoughts on Nylander, the impending contract, what we can do to make it fit? Because people are now talking about if he keeps this pace up all season, obviously not this pace, like nonstop scoring, but if he keeps up, like 100-point season pace, he could be looking at $10.5, $11 million, and that wouldn't be outrageous. Like, somebody would pay him that.
So that would be roughly, I'm not doing exact numbers here, that would be roughly a $4 million raise. So at the end of this season, you have Bertuzzi, who's up at $5.5 mil. You have Brody, who's up at $5 mil. And you have Klingberg, who's up at $4.1 mil. The money's there. Not to mention the fact that the cap's probably going up, what, 4 or 5 million?
I'm saying you have to replace those guys too. So that
But you're not going to be replacing Bertuzzi, who is giving you production at a fourth line player for a $5.5 million player.
Yeah. But you still we're also not going to find another Bunting at $900K. Like, they're going to have to pay somebody to fill that slot with Matthews and Marner.
Right now, that's Nyes.
Yeah, that's true.
Right, you have Nyes, you have Nicky Bobby still, who's looked great so far since he's been called up. The cap's going up. Not as much as it should, but it is finally going to, go up more than $1 million. So probably $4 to $6 million next year between that and the expiring contracts. I'm not concerned. You pay Willy, you keep him. After that, your next priority's got to be goaltending.
Even 2-3 years down the line, I'm not concerned. It's just mostly next year. Everybody is still at this prime level. We still have Tavares. I don't know how you make it fit and still have a team that you're going to go for that last push with JT, because obviously, unless he takes a huge discount, we're not going to be able to keep him around if we want to keep Nylander. We're
not going to be signing JT to another $11 million contract. If he's asking $11 million, you let him walk.
Well, exactly. I mean, if he'll take 6 or something to stay, that's a different story. But I don't know where we're going to be at. Where he's going to be at, it's just between this and next year, it seems like it's really buckle down and go for it. And I'm worried about what you're going to be able to fill the rest of the team out with, because we're already seeing how horrible the fourth line is with what we've had to spend. And yeah, if the cap goes up $4 million and that entire thing is erased by Nylander's raise, that doesn't leave much room for making many other moves. Because I mean, a lot of our money is tied up in injured players and shit. I don't know. I'm worried, but I do have to take more time to look at it.
Between Bertuzzi and Klingberg, there's $10 million you're getting next year. Not to mention the 5 from Brody. The players still have to be replaced, but it's not like the contracts we're locked into for years are our core players who are still producing at or above the dollar figure they're getting paid.
Muzzin and Murray both are done this year too.
Yep, fellas. I'm arguing here that of those 3 players, though, I think that we're guaranteed to keep one of them, and it really depends on who decides to pick it up before. This is a very early conversation. We're talking these guys are dead in the water already, but what are we we're not that many games into the season, all right? There's a lot of chance. I don't really see Klingberg redeeming himself with the way he's been playing, but Bertuzzi's got a lot of heart out there, especially this game. I saw he's not always a guy like that's not always going to be scoring for you, but there's some. I would argue Brody's more likely to leave just because right now he's new Justin Hall before Klingberg. When this season started, Brody was looking very Hallish. Now Klingberg's obviously decided to steal the trophy for that prize. But again, we're very early. These guys can figure it out, especially defensemen. But I would argue Bertuzzi figures it out long before the defensemen do. Again, because of the defenseman curse on the Leafs, right? I said our visual on defensemen is always pretty raw. We're never going to be good to these guys.
I do agree. I think Bertuzzi has more of a potential to figure it out than the D do at this point. But again, if we're talking about back to how we're fitting Nylander in, look, if you let Brody walk, and you let Klingberg walk, Gio's probably done. That leaves you.
Gio's done. Gio's definitely done. I don't know about you guys, but we gotta. That's one where we have to like shake hands and say like, yeah.
You're moving to the front office.
Yeah, we love you. You have a choice here, right? You can keep playing the game, or you can go buy yourself a wig. But you
No, I'm not saying you can't go out and find it, but that leaves you with Morgan Rielly, Jake McCabe, and you have to sign Benoit or Lagesson. Like, basically, they only have McCabe and Rielly signed after this year. So you can let all these guys walk, but you have to completely fill out your defensive roster. You also have Connor Timmins for another year.
Yeah. What, like, at this point, with, yet again, it's early, small sample size, but with what Lagesson's been giving us, that's basically a replacement for Brody right now.
And
but his contract, he doesn't need a new contract after this year.
Lagesson, what a beauty. That guy also with a football linebacker fucking number. Like what is that, 85? Like, I guess maybe a wide receiver or something, but he's cool. I liked him. I liked every look that he had this game. Like, I'm sure there was some flubs, but when I saw him out there, I was not expecting that level of play.
No, I've really liked the signings of Lagesson, and I mean Gregor's the only thing that works. When I saw the lineups for tonight, when it was Gregor with Reeves and Camp, I'm like, fuck, we're not giving Gregor any chance here. He's just going to be stuck on the worst line that we've put out in a long time. Like, let's transition over to something that's not working. So, I mean, I'm looking at who we've got signed beyond this year and next year. We've got Matthews, great. JT, great. Marner, great. David Kampf, Ryan Reeves, Pontus Holmberg, Matthew Nyes, and Kelly Yarncroke. Okay, cool. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 more years of David Kampf and 3 more, well, 2 after this, and of Ryan Reeves. So what the hell do we do with these 2 guys? Because they're the only thing that we have locked ourselves into, and it doesn't work. Reeves is minus 11, like 0 on the ice for goals. Like,
everybody's saying, oh, Reeves isn't your problem. Like, okay, yes, he's not the defensive problem right now, but he's also not a defenseman. He's not the only problem going on, but when he is out there, he is not contributing at all.
Well, honestly, neither is David Kampf. He has been lackluster this season. Like, I really hate that, it's kind of following him. This always signed his contract and checked out, because like, it's not like it's a huge contract, but I mean, it's the most he's thought he was going to make in his career, I guess, to that point. So for him, he's pretty set, but it's kind of a shame to see his game fall off so much, because he was somebody like the Campfire. We had a nickname for him. Like, the way he's playing this year, it's not somebody we'd make a nickname for. Like, this guy was a staple on the penalty kill. He was, it actually made sense at one point to put him out in overtime, because he was a good defensive face-off taker. I don't know why I can't think of words. I just...
Yeah.
Shut up. I hate to see this, because his game's not there, and the combination of him and Reeves also not having his game there, it's like, it's just a disaster of a line. And like I said, poor Gregor, who's actually given it all he's got to try to stay on this team. And
I always thought the Camp signing was weird without Kasha. Like, I felt like they were a duo. It's like you can't, it's like shoe and shoelace. One cannot live without the other, And I didn't understand why we would sign Camp if we weren't going to sign Kasha. Like,
Kasha was averaging like 30 games a season. Like, the guy couldn't keep himself out of the box,
but that's my point. Is that like if you can't have them both, then you don't have them at all. Like, you can find there's a. David Kampf is like, I'm sorry, but he's just like, you can find a guy like that in a cereal box. Like, no offense. Like, as I say, if it's the duo that I felt made Camp, and it's like without it, it's just kind of lackluster, So,
well, I mean, we didn't have Kasha last season, and he was still effective. Like, he had a decent season. I just, like, I didn't hate the dollar value they gave him when they gave it to him, and I didn't hate the 4 years. It's just now that we've seen his play, I'm like, this ain't it. This is not it. He's not playing defensively like he's supposed to, and he's not, taking advantage. And I don't even think he's playing much shorthanded minutes. Like, he was a key favorite last season, and that's why he's still here. Like, and
he's definitely not playing to the level that we've grown accustomed to him playing.
No. So, I mean, is it somebody that you can, like, what's the solution here? Like, you can waive Reeves, I guess. Like, does Camp have any protection?
Camp has
modified no trade.
clause.
Oh my God. A 10-team no trade list. That's not awful. But Ryan Reeves, you can just throw down to the minors and bury that 1.3 mil. But like, what do you?
At this point, we've only got 53 million committed to next year.
Yeah,
like
you got a lot of slots to fill.
Yeah, but that leaves the team pretty wide open. Like Trey Living can actually put his mark on the team for next year, rather. Like,
yeah, we're seeing how that Calgary team's playing out.
I'm not saying that's going to be 100% a good thing. Well, that's yet to be determined, but
it is interesting that so early in his tenure, we get to see basically all of Dubas's pieces get stripped away. Because, I mean, like, really, Matthews, Marner, and Tavares and Nylander are less his, and the rest of the team is kind of more what he put together. I mean, this year it's kind of more a lot of Trey Living's pieces, but yeah, it's interesting that all of Dubas's stuff is going to get stripped away pretty quick, besides David Camp.
That being said, Chris Johnson has tweeted out that with Zadorov looking to be traded out of Calgary, word is the pending UFA defenseman would welcome a move to Toronto.
Yeah, of course. Great. It will take Jonathan Huberdeau too.
Not at that
just me, or is like a lot more players like around this time are getting scratched because like I've never had this many. Like, I'm playing in a fucking 12-man fantasy league, and like I have like I'm seeing myself and other guys like playing people that aren't playing. Like, is there a lot of mystery trades going on, or just a lot of weird disciplinary action happening in the league this year? Because like I've never seen this many players scratched like during like Friday night or on a weekday games. It's just weird to me. I don't know. Maybe it's just.
There's been a lot of teams that are supposed to be doing a lot better than they are. Like, I mean, between the Flames, the Oilers, the Devils, the Hurricanes, the Leafs, Tampa, like there's a lot of teams at Florida, a lot of teams that are supposed to be doing a lot better than this. So, people are scrambling to figure out what's going on because a lot of these teams haven't made a ton of moves and changes to their roster. So,
like the Oilers are tied for last.
Yeah. Like, let me just pull up the standings real quick.
Yeah, I've got it right here. You have the Oilers, you have the Wild, Kraken.
Oh, no, the Panthers are fine. But yeah, the Sens are last in the East. Like, that's not what they were expecting.
No.
The Penguins are starting to climb up. So are the Caps. The Islanders are falling. The Hurricanes and Devils have caught up. Okay. But the Preds are in last in the Central. Like, that's yeah. So that's what's going on. Is a lot of teams like scrambling. The Wild are off to a bad start. Their goaltending's been horrible. A lot of goalies have been underperforming this year too. I've noticed through fantasy.
Yeah, goals have been way up.
There's a real big like changing of the guard going on, like behind scenes, not just like I'm sure with offices and players, but like generation wise too. Like I feel like a lot of the guys we grew up with are starting to realize like they're not the majority in the league anymore, and like the young guys are really taking over, and the teams, not just like teams are when teams say they're rebuilding is one thing, but teams are like without even seeing it rebuilding because they're so these young guys are coming in and taking over. It's not the Crosby Ovechkin league anymore that we're Crosby Ovechkin Kane league that we got so used to, right? It's
yeah, like, I mean, even when we had Matthews, it was like fun and exciting. Like we've got the new best player and everything, but now it's like you see these clips from Jack Hughes and like all these other kids coming up. It's like shit. There's like a lot of really good players all around the NHL that are coming up and kind of setting the pace for what we're going to see over the next 10, 15 years.
There's also some behind the scenes guys who I never really noticed from like the past 10 years, like who have played at least within this past decade, who are now coming out of the limelight as good. Like
Tyler Toffoli.
Like I don't know who the frick like Matheson is on the Habs, but apparently he's a lights out defenseman now. So it's like, where are these guys coming from? And he's
Matheson wasn't Matheson the Panther that would always end up having to play forward against the Leafs for some freak injury, and he'd score like 2-3 goals a game?
Yeah, I think you're right.
You guys know what I'm saying, though? It's like there seems like there is like a bit of a like the league as we knew it like 3 years ago post COVID is definitely not the league we see now. Like it's a lot of things are the times they are a changing. Especially we'd mentioned the Hughes brothers, guys like Cole Caulfield, Arbor X Gage. I know everybody calls him his real name, but I like to call him X Gage because it sounds cool.
Oh, but by the way, I know his nickname has been Wi-Fi. I heard a new nickname that someone was using for his younger brother that I kind of like, Scrabble.
Oh my god, that's awesome. That's so good.
But to touch on what you're talking about, though, like as silly as it sounds, a lot of that I think could actually be related to the fact that probably the best draft in NHL history, most of them are retiring now. The 2003 entry draft.
Yeah, I mean, wasn't that... Oh, no, that wasn't Jumbo Joe, was it?
Oh, no, Jumbo Joe was
he would have been way before that.
97. Yeah. But like 03, you had Fleury, Eric Stahl.
Oh, that one. Yeah. Okay.
Like,
sorry, I was
Suter.
Too young to like have a memory for them.
Shut up.
I love dropping those.
Like we've got Fleury, we've got Suter, Burns, and then Perry, and then I think it's all the way down to Pavelski. But aside from that whole draft is retired, but like it was loaded top to bottom. You had Vanek, you had Seabrook, you had Dustin Brown, you had Jeff Carter, you had Getzlaff, you had Stewart, Kessler, Mike Richards, you had Brian Boyle. Sorry, I'm just trying to quickly read here. Louis Erickson. Like the draft was insane. Patrice Bergeron was in that draft.
Jesus. That's a lot.
Yeah, that draft has dominated the NHL for the last 20 years.
So, yeah, it is kind of a change. And with scoring being up to, like Darty was saying, guys coming out of the woodwork that have been around for a while, but now there's space for them to take on some of these roles. Like Toffoli was somebody that I was looking at today in fantasy. And I just looked at his past season stats. Like this guy, 15-16 was his career high, 82 games, 58 points with 31 goals, 27 assists. Okay, this guy's 31. Last year with the Calgary Flames, 34 goals, 39 assists for 73 points. In a season where the Flames were not that good. Like,
yeah.
Where does this come from? This dude hasn't scored over... I mean, he's got 28 goals in 2021. Other than that, he's had 18. That's crazy.
Some players are just like that, and as much as I hate bringing him up, a good example of that is Marchand.
I knew you were going to say Marchand.
Like, I hate the guy, but you have his first 4 or 5 years in the NHL. Like, he was decent, but he was like 40, 50 points a year kind of guy, and then he just exploded.
Put 2 and 2 together. It's like Tage Thompson, he was around for a bit, but then he figured, oh, I can shoot.
And then I think
just push people out of the way.
With you talking about, well, Marchand can't because he's the size of a fucking rat. But I think with the kids coming up and how they all seem so good is like, you look at the players we've been talking about from the 03 draft and that the goalies they grew up shooting on, no offense to goalies, but they weren't the greatest in the world.
That's
Whereas
true.
now goalies are like full-blown athletes. So you now have kids...
Tell my fantasy team, please.
You now have kids like, say, the Hughes brothers, for example. Their entire hockey career, right from when they started playing with a puck, has been against goalies who have had specific goalie drills and training and like everything. Like these guys have been going against legit goalies at every level.
Oh, that's a good point.
I do
the
want to
level of training has gone up.
You are 109% right. However, it's like the goalies they grew up shooting on, Martin Brodeur, Fleury,
no, they weren't playing in. They weren't playing in the NHL at 13. I'm talking about legitimately growing up.
Okay, I thought you meant like some of the, I guess like right after that draft, like they would have got to place like probably the greatest, like Hendrik Lundqvist, some of the greatest goaltenders of all time. Like I would argue like the young kids right now are playing against possibly the worst goaltenders of all time. Like these are a lot of these guys look like 80s goalies because they have nothing but finesse, but they have no finish. Like we're looking at some of the like. Nobody can find a goaltender right now in fantasy, right? Like, and there's a reason for that is because unless I was gonna say unless you have Vasilevsky, I have Vasilevsky, and he's dead.
Are we talking? Are we talking
like,
about fantasy, or are we talking about actual?
Well,
hockey?
the points.
I think
it's the points of the points, right? Like, it doesn't matter if we're talking like we're all citizens of this game here. We're all watching it happen, right? Like, there's very few people who are like the very few teams that have a goaltender that's just solid, right? Like they're all fucking, dime a dozen goalies right now. Before every team, save for the Leafs, had like one goaltender and that was it. And now it's like we're just throwing, everybody's throwing mixed bags out there, and like there's no Brodeurs, there's no Lundqvist, there's no DiPietros, there's no Flurries. You know what I mean? In fact, there's not even like a David, there's not even like, a Kevin Weeks or an Abisher. That's what everybody's putting out right now. You know what I mean?
Well, I think to kind of both of your points is that there aren't those kinds of guys because players across the board are better, right? It just makes the goalies look worse when everybody shooting at them is getting better. So I think like it's a pendulum, right? Like we're seeing defenses kind of behind the forwards right now as far as skill. Like there aren't a ton of shutdown defensemen in this league. There aren't a lot of shutdown forwards in this league, and they're very valuable when you find them. So once we get a couple more of those, maybe we'll see scoring start to go down for a couple seasons. But right now it's a majority offense league. So it's really eating up the talent of goalies. Like people are taking, 30, 40, 50 even shots a night. Like these guys can't sustain playing 82 games like that. It's not like where you had, like Bean was saying, guys from this _03 draft, there was a ton of fucking defensemen from that era that you could not get through to get to the goalie. Like they were much lower scoring games because there were less shots and the goalies were given a chance to make a really good save. So that's just kind of an opinion take, but I think the pendulum will swing back and forth.
Like it's definitely weird. Go for it, Bean, sorry.
Sorry, I was just going to say, like, there's other factors, like, style has a lot to do with it, too. You look at the way the LA Kings play. Like, Cam Talbot is looking like a world beater right now for them.
When I was saying that there's defensive forwards that are valuable, like, that's the team that I was thinking of, is because they are built in a way where it's like, let's get guys that aren't necessarily the best scorers, but, you're not going to get past any of them.
Yep. And then, like, goaltenders-wise, this year, like, you still have elite goalies. They're just not Canadian anymore. Like, you have Vasi, you have Sorokin, you have Shesterkin, even Saros, Hellebuck.
No,
like
Saros has not been great this year.
Yeah, I just want to point out
this year so far,
Vasi
Saros
was dead.
but...
He's still not playing. Though Jonas Johansson had 2 shutouts and is now garbage. But every other goaltender that you mentioned actually had. Yeah, as I say, every other goaltender you mentioned was good last year, but they are currently not that great. I think Shesty had some really bad games. I don't know about the
He's
other guy
now.
that you mentioned. Yeah, there you go.
Shesterkin's hurt right now.
Yeah, so we're just talking about this year again. To go back to my point about like this league is really weird right now. That is another reason why, right? Like it seems crazy to think that like there's more of a chance that someone's going to beat Gretzky's goal record than someone can ever beat Martin Brodeur's number of games played. You know what I mean? Like because like the goaltenders, it's like a new goalie every day, right? Like
yeah.
The Leafs certainly have been playing like that. I know they're not the only ones. Like
there's a lot of teams that are going right down. Well, I was just going to say, there's a lot of teams, even the Oilers, who have gone all the way down to their third goalie. Like, I think even the Flames tonight called up their third to back up Vladar.
Yeah, but their third should have been the NHL 2 years ago.
I know, that's insane. So I do want to bring this back to the Leafs for a sec. So we had a question from Mike the Fanatic. This is something I wanted to talk about with Reeves. So Tyler Bertuzzi gets laid out by Nikita Zadorov, and other than Kampf giving him a little shove, there is, again, no response, and this is the talk of the town, is we brought these guys in so that we could fix this problem, and this problem persists. Nobody cares. Even Bertuzzi himself getting hit doesn't jump up and start running the guy back. Like, maybe he throws a couple words, but, like, what are we doing here? Is this not what we brought all of these guys in to change? nothing still. Like, I feel like a broken record. We've been saying this every episode since like the third one this season.
I think what needs to happen is when they go on a road trip and they play Vegas, that somehow Johnny T gets locked on the roof of a building and all of them have to go and find him, and hilarity ensues, because that's the only way this, like, it was a point I was actually trying to make earlier, but we actually talked about real shit, so I couldn't talk about my crap. But the point I was trying to make is this team, like, it seems like a lot of different cliques, but not really a team. And we have a lot of great pieces that Treliving brought in. Everybody's shitting on them, but I still think that they're pretty great, even though Klingberg's really fucking slacking. I like Bertuzzi's heart. He still kind of played like crap, but I know he was this commenter was saying that he didn't see the fight in Bertuzzi. I did. I felt he did. It's just, unfortunately, the refs kind of got in the way a little bit there. Like, what do you want to do? Start punching stripes? Like, if Stripes is already there, you can't really start swinging. You know what I mean? It's, unless you're Tom Wilson or some crap, you know, it doesn't make sense. So, like, you're not going to start a fight when the ref is already in front of you. Like, he was already there. Like, at least the linesman's already there. Like, it's just, you know, it's game over at that point. Like, if you two guys alone on the ice, different story. I'm sure Bertuzzi would have done something, but, you know, you can't really throw a punch when the linesman's there. You know, you're going to knock him in the teeth. You're going to lose 4 games. You know, it's not. Maybe out the season, I don't know. So, but to continue my point is that these guys haven't really been, like, they've been playing good. Like, we won this game because we have a lot of great players, but they're not playing like a team. There's like 3 different cliques out there, and the new kids have to learn to start playing better with the, you know, Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Tavares, like all these other guys, especially Reeves. Like, Reeves seems so out of place. I need, like he's making comments, he's saying things, go out there and break teeth, you know, like this. That's what everybody else has been saying, like all the other pundits. Like, don't be talking crap about Marchand after the game. Tell someone to get off the frickin' ice. I'm going on, and I'm going to go scare the living daylights out of somebody because I'm fucking Revo, right? That's how it should be. I don't want to hear talk after talk is cheap. You're not here to talk. We've had plenty of talkers. You know, we had Matt Martin in the past, right? We've had plenty of good chirpers. We don't need that. The Leafs don't need chirpers anymore. We need people to go out there and not necessarily beat the tar out of somebody, but be threatening enough and put somebody on the boards legally enough or sneakily enough so that shit like that doesn't happen. End quote. Go on.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like there's not enough, you know, like we've said, you know, the little shoving after the whistle, the things that always happen to the Leafs that were like, there's no calls on any of it. People are just getting pushed around. Like, those are the kinds of things that they need to step up and start doing if they want to be a competitive team in this league, because those are the things come playoff time that, you know, clearly are what have been separating everybody else from us. So we're all tired of seeing this the stars on this team get pushed around, especially Tyler Bertuzzi, who was brought in to fix this. Like, he's the last person that should be laid out and just taking it and skating back to the bench. Like, that's crazy. And to your point, like, they didn't win this game because they're a good team. They've won this game despite so many problems, the same way that they won the Tampa game. Like, they blew a 4-1 lead again and they managed to win. Like, they have a couple guys that are fantastic and playing their hearts out and having the best seasons of their lives, and they are scoring like crazy. Like, that pass Willy fed to Tavares behind his, like, just fucking without looking behind his back, that's insane. Like, this guy is playing on another level. Matthews was so tonight, but, like, overall, these guys have been great through all of these games. It's that, again, the defense, Klingberg is we'll call it an unhealthy scratch tonight. Like, has been borderline unplayable as a defenseman. And I hate to say fucking a toe-to-so, but I said, is he not going to be Tyson Barrie 2.0? Oh, look, we pulled him off of PP1 already to put Riley back on there, and he can't play defense. And now we're like, why did we bring this guy here? Is that not what happened with Tyson Barrie? Like,
well, so Tyson Barrie wasn't really utilized properly because he couldn't get along with Babcock. But that's a completely different story. Like,
I mean, I feel like he didn't work because he was an offensive defenseman when we already have one of those. Yeah, and but you can't really have 2-star offensive defensemen that only work on PP1.
If you utilize them properly, yes. But, like, because Riley can kind of do a little bit of everything. Like, he's not a Norris Trophy defender, and he's not a 100-point scorer back there. but he's definitely a useful. Useful top pairing guy. But with what you were touching on,
I think he's not a 100-point scorer because we haven't gotten him a good enough shutdown defenseman to play with him. Besides, Brody on and off has been that person. Muzzin has been that person at some times, but like he hasn't been allowed to just be that. He's had to come back and play so much. Like, yes, he's kind of a two-way defenseman, but it feels like we've shoehorned him into that. But go on.
Well, yeah, but he's never gonna like. I love Riley. I don't want to see him leave. I want to see him retire as a Leaf, but he's not a 100-point defenseman, and that's fine.
Hold up. What are you eating there, Johnny? Why aren't you sharing?
Banana chocolate chip muffin, and I did not bring enough for the class. I'm sorry.
Shows up late with Starbucks and doesn't even bring anybody Starbucks.
That's okay. Starbucks is garbage.
It is actually Bridgehead for life.
So, like, with what you're saying about Reeves, like, yeah, okay, send him out there against Marchand for that kind of stuff, but the guy wouldn't be able to catch him anyways. Like, the days of what you're talking about, those retired with the first lockout. Like, that type of play is gone. That's one of the reasons why I didn't really like the signing of him to begin with. But, like,
okay.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, hold up. It's not necessarily, like, your point is good, because that is a good rebuttal, but I want to elaborate. It's not necessarily that he has to go against Marchand, and I think Kiprio has brought this up, and I felt very strongly about this too, is that it's not that you have to you hurt the big guy, but you have to scare a little guy and tell him, hey, this is happening because he did that. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to keep nipple twisting your little brother until your big brother stops stealing my fucking money. You know what I mean? Like that's what you go out there and do. You're gonna keep getting a purple nurple for this because your big brother keeps fucking, breaking into my locker. You know what I mean? Like, and then you realize, oh crap, my little brother's getting hurt. I should probably go help him out because my stupid action. You know what I mean? Like, it's like basic schoolyard bullying. Like, you're gonna pay for this because he did that, and then that's how you get into people's heads, right? Like, and that's what happens to the Leafs all the time. Like, who the hell is Liljegren, right? Like, why did he have to get fucking his ankles broken? And nobody cares. And that's why, if we did care, it's like, you know what? You take out Liljegren, we're gonna take out some other bullshit player from your team. How you like them apples? Instead, they get to keep walking on their fucking victory streak, and we look like assholes.
Yeah, like it wasn't Matthews that was taken out. It was Nyes that was taken out. They go after somebody that's easy, and the point is there needs to be response from somebody. We're not asking them to start a fight. I'm not asking Reeves to go out there the next shift and punch Zadorov in the face. I'm asking for him to have, the whole point is the attitude across the team was supposed to change by bringing these guys in. His whole point was supposed to be a vibe change. So when Bertuzzi gets laid out and somebody doesn't immediately go and hit Zadorov and get up in his face, and something should be broken up there, that's the time when there should be an immediate response where maybe a fight does happen. When somebody like that gets laid out, that's where someone should jump in and go, hey, don't fucking do that.
This is also what's been bred into this team for the past 5, 6, 7 years, though. So many times you've heard, whether it was Babcock, Keefe, whoever, say, we'll get them on the scoreboard.
I know
that's their
it's not
rebuttal
working.
To everything. No, I know, but it's not just a personnel thing. That's the rebuttal to everything.
But if that's the rebuttal, why bring in Reeves and Domi and Bertuzzi? Why did they do that if the rebuttal is going to be able to get them on the scoreboard? Why wouldn't you go after guys that are just going to score and don't give a shit about being angry? I thought that was, they talked about bringing Snot in. So are they just, was it Snot with Advil, cold, and sinus? We want to bring it in, but we want to also, our medical staff is great, so you're not going to have any. I don't understand.
Snot they're bringing in is what's on Reef skates right now.
But let me tell you something. I don't want to be out here encouraging schoolyard bullying, all right, even though I've already given several examples of how to do it. But I think another point where, we have to miss, we are missing, just because it's, a rather stupid point anyways, but it's that, we're saying, oh, we have to outscore them. But also, too, it's the fear factor of, we don't have to hurt people. We just have to make them piss their pants enough that they can't score. That's a very valid point that I'm making here that people forget. It's you don't have to go out there and fight. You don't have to go out there there and hurt people. You don't have to do anything dirty. You literally just have to make them scared, put fear in them, and nobody fears the Leafs. If someone's worried, someone's like, man, these guys are tough. These guys, they all show, like, after, if someone hits Matthews, everybody gangs up on me. They don't have to hit me. They're just always there. Eyes are always looking at me. They don't have to fucking crack me in the back of the neck. They just have to be there to say, when something stupid happens, all the guys are there. Hey, back off. Don't be a bully. Don't be an idiot. Like, nobody shows up, and that's one of the major points. But if they did, it said, if you're about to piss your pants because you're worried about something's going to happen, like, you worry these guys are breathing down your neck, you don't need to worry about outscoring your opponent because they will not outscore you because they're too worried about pissing their pants.
Exactly. And look, there's another rebuttal to, getting them on the scoreboard and also that the team is soft. Look how many times they've given up a goal immediately after scoring in the last 5 games. It's insane how they've just fallen asleep and gotten complacent after they score. Like, oh, right, we score. This is what we do. We're good. And they immediately give one up. They simultaneously set the record for the fastest 2 goals this season, scoring 2 in 8 seconds, to also giving up the fastest, I think, after scoring. So, like,
and
guys,
they always seem flabbergasted after that too. Like, they're surprised that happened, as if like it hasn't been happening for the past 7 years.
Yeah, it always cuts to the bench. Someone's like, "Fuck!" It's like, what? What do you mean, fuck? You didn't play defense. You let the puck go the other way. You coughed it up. You made a pass without looking. Like, the amount of mistakes they make after they score is insane. Okay, so another quick thing here. I did a poll a couple days ago. This is when we saw Klingberg was benched. We saw Bertuzzi benched. Reeves benched. So I said lots of benching and lineup bumps going on. Which Leaf should be the most worried about their situation? Reeves, Klingberg, Bertuzzi, or Samsonov? And the winner at 39.3% was Ilya Samsonov. So with Joseph Woll playing fantastic tonight, making some crazy saves, like that one on the breakaway, and I think it was Mangiapane with his toe. That was insane. It might not have been Mangiapane, but regardless, you know the save I'm talking about. Joseph Woll was amazing again. What do we do about Sammy? Like, is it a matter of playing him back to health, or are we questioning this decision and looking at other options?
So I think with Sammy, I think he's got a little bit of Campbell in him with the fact that he's beaten himself up pretty bad with how he's been playing. Like, you've got to remember, this is a guy who was a highly touted prospect for the Capitals, never really gained enough traction to be, their guy, the guy they thought he was. Comes here last year, has a much better year than anyone anticipated, gets hurt, and then since then, he hasn't really been able to put it back together. So, like there's so many different ways you could handle it. Realistically, at this point, I think you have to let Woll kind of run with it. Like, Sammy will be in tomorrow against Vancouver. That's tough on the guy with how hot Vancouver's been right now.
No kidding. And I mean, credit to Woll. I just realized he played his way through Martin Jones and Sammy to get the starting position. I forgot we were trying out Jones as a potential somewhere in this mix.
Well, like, Woll's been in the prospect pool for a long time. Like I said, he was in the same draft as Matthews.
Yeah.
So you listen to, who was it? Mike McKenna. I hear him talk all the time on Sirius XM, and he's from the St. Louis area, which is where Woll's from. Like, he just raves about this kid. The potential he's got, the way he plays his game, the efficiency in his movements. Now, tonight wasn't perfect. I didn't get a chance to watch every minute of the game tonight, but he played great in overtime and great in the shootout. But he looked a little uncomfortable at times, which he's kind of had this season. He's had some stellar games, and then he's looked really not like
if you're the goaltender, tend the goal,
Yeah.
Well, I've heard a lot of the goals on Woll tonight, like from like distance, like they weren't like up close and personal, save for like the shootout and like one or two of them. Like, he got caught off guard by like a couple slap shots out from like Ovi's office kind of deal.
The third goal was a tip he had no chance on. The tying goal, in my opinion, he should have had. He lost his seal to the ice with his pads, and he didn't have a stick covering his 5-hole. But like that's kind of breaking things down at the microscopic level, because realistically, he's been playing great for us, and we just got to keep going with it. Because if the potential that he has been talked about having forever, if it's there and he's actually able to realize that potential, that's incredible for us. And he's right around that age. Like, not that Samsonov's not. Samsonov's only a year older than him. But, like, you know, there's the opportunity there.
So what's the deal with our goalie depth chart right now? Like, if say something, you know, say a thunderstorm hit Samsonov and, you know, he doesn't play anymore, whatever happens. Who's next, right? Like, who's our Shalgren?
Probably Martin Jones.
Yeah, Martin Jones would probably be the next one to come up.
What's his deal? Why hasn't he been playing? Like,
because he's a career sub 900 shitty NHL starter.
I was just going to say he's a 33-year-old,
though, right?
865.
He's not some AHL guy.
No, he's an NHLer, and he's been on the Seattle Kraken and San Jose Sharks for most of the last decade, if I'm not mistaken. And his numbers match. So he's never been on a good team, to his credit, but his good years were, you know, 2014 to 16, I think. And since then, he's just been somehow still playing, but sub 900. Like how Campbell and Skinner are playing this year, but all the time.
Okay, and then non-NHLers, whatever happened to Biener's favorite Keith Petroleum Jelly? What's his name?
Petroleum Jelly?
Petrozelli?
Whatever happened to those guys? But there was, like, you know, back when we did have Shalgren, he was also kind of in the woodwork. Like, what happened to our AHL stars? What's our depth there?
So right now we've got 3 guys on the Marlies battling it out for time. We've got Petrozelli, we've got Jones, and we've got Hildeby. Now, Hildeby's only played 3 games, but he's got the best stats right now. He's literally 1-1-1, a win, a loss, and an OT loss, with a 168 goals against average and 935 save percentage. Very, very small sample size, only the 3 games, but Jones has played 4, Petrozelli's played 5. So they're kind of letting these guys roll through and see who takes it. Like, Hildeby was kind of one of them draft picks that made you kind of look twice at the time, because the guy was very young. He'd just gone through some surgeries, dealt with some injury problems, wasn't playing at the highest level. But, like, he's a 6'7" goalie.
I was just going to say, isn't Hildeby like a monster? Like, he's like really tall.
Yeah.
And heavy, too, if I remember. Yeah.
6'7", 222. So not...
Okay, well, I guess, yeah. Well, he's as heavy as I am, so fuck.
He's a little bit taller, too.
He's a little bit taller, though. There you go. Jeez.
So, yeah, but then, like, you've also got the Pexa. You've got Akhtiamov overseas. Like, the goalie depth is probably our best right now, if you had to look at all our depth. But if anything happened right away, it'd be Jones coming up first. I can pretty much guarantee that.
Okay, so another thing I want to talk about, this was talk of X tonight. Everybody wanted to see the replay. Did Morgan Riley not score in the first period, and we just kind of played on? Because if I'm not mistaken, that puck went in and came out of the net, and we just kept going, and there wasn't a whistle for like 4 minutes, so they didn't really talk about it, and we just went on. What's the protocol there? Do we not like watch the replay to see if the puck crossed the line?
So if in instances like that, if there is an actual goal, typically you'll hear the goal, like the horn go off, and the situation room will tell them that they have to review it.
Yeah, every video that I've been able to find, which is a whole one, thanks to Tic Tomar, it very clearly looks like the puck goes in the net and comes back out on the other side of the net. Like, it goes behind Vladar, and then it trickles back out, and they pick the puck back up on the other side of the net after it goes in.
I feel like this is not the first time this has happened this year, and not just with the Leafs. And do we not have like cameras up the ass like everywhere in there? Like how is someone not just watching that? How is there not like a sensor or like a radar or something? Like it's 2023. Like
Yeah, don't I get like
understand-
TSN 5G view for this shit?
Yeah, like if it crosses the line, something should go off. Like a like if you steal a ruby from a bank. You know what I mean? There should be some like laser that immediately, if that puck goes over, like ding 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 ding. Like it isn't rocket science. It's pretty common technology, I would say now. Like if they don't have that, it's kind of weird.
So they've been trying that for a while with the trackers and the puck. And when it first came out, sorry, I don't know what's going on right now. I need to get a glass of water. When it first came out, you literally had players complaining that they could sense the weight difference in the puck. So they used it for a handful of games, then scrapped it, went back to regular puck, and I'm not sure exactly where they are with that technology right now, but I know it's not being used for the goal line.
They have a tracker in the puck because that's what the NHL Edge stuff is, all the like puck speed and all that. That's where it comes from.
But as far as I know, they don't have anything in the goal posts or in the goal line, so they don't have it quite there yet.
It's not even like crazy technology. Like, I got these two little pucks that like I line up in front of my door, and if the cat walks by, he gets shocked right away. Like that asshole knows if he crosses the line, because every time he goes into my room, he's parked his butt on my face. I can't deal with it anymore. I'm so allergic to cats. I love them, but like stay out of my room.
The puck comes. Okay. There's no way this isn't a goal. Okay, thanks, Tomar. I'm gonna share this here. Okay. You can see this, right?
Yeah.
The fans at home might be able to.
Yeah, okay. See the puck right here? You can see my cursor? Above number 3's hip?
Yep.
Watch this puck. There, it's at the line. Okay, we don't see it here because this is pretty low res. The net moves, and then watch behind after Riley's head moves. Watch behind Vladar. There, you can see the net moving. Where the puck comes from. Right here. How does the puck come out from here if it didn't go in the net?
There were two shooters, Johnny. One from the grassy knoll.
Like, I'm serious. How does the puck come out here if that didn't go in the net? Like,
they do get some really weird bounces off the post.
Well, then why, like, if that was a crazy bounce off of all the posts, why don't we get to see it? Like, why isn't that the first review? Like, the first replay after that puck was frozen, why didn't they show, oh, by the way, because everyone celebrated a goal, the goal horn went off? We should show that. Like, I don't understand broadcast-wise why they don't get into that. Like, the fucking score changed, and the whole team skated towards the bench for a sec. Like that was very clearly marked as a goal and pulled back without anyone saying anything, and nobody addresses it, and we just all kind of play on. I don't understand. They still blew a 4-1 lead. Again, it's the same thing I've been saying every night. Their good players are going to be good. Kelly Yarncroke had a good game. Good on him, Killer Croc. But honestly, the good players have been good. It's everybody that's bad that's been playing horribly that's costing them way too many goals. And again, I'll say it. They are Nylander and Tavares away from being the Oilers and not being able to outscore their problems. So, there we are. Other.
Well, even last year, they were power play merchants. Like they had a great record and there was tons of points, but it was almost entirely on the power play. So, like, the fact that if they went in thinking that they were going to be running at whatever the ridiculous percentage of power play they were running at last year, again this year, and just be status quo, like, that's a problem.
Also, Evander Kane's production has dropped off. He's down on the third line now, so, I mean...
Yes, maybe you shouldn't be such a shitty person. Sorry.
Another quick question here from Benito the Basset Hound. Can we get a game or two where I don't have my wife on standby to take me to the hospital for a heart attack? Jeebus, did Trey mess up this team that bad, or were they just not that good last year? I mean, last year, I think we had some good pieces that we are now without, pardon me, that we might have taken for granted, just for maybe not maybe not for them being good, but for them not being bad. Like, we were complaining about guys having hands of stone and not being able to finish, but not being able to finish is better than not being able to control the puck, defend, and keep the puck out of your own net. Like, we've gone from mediocre bottom six to, like, unplayable bottom six. So, I mean, yeah. I don't know what to say on that front. Like, the top six is better, I think, this year. If Bertuzzi can figure this out, I think Nyes and Bertuzzi in the top six with those four is a lot better than Bunting and whatever we had last year until O'Reilly. Exactly. Yep. Yeah, agreed. Good. Exactly. Last question here from Mikey D. Do we believe Willy breaks Marner's point streak? I don't think so, just because of the way that Marner gets points. He's going to be able to pick up a primary or secondary assist, whereas most of Nylander's point streak has come from the fact that he's scoring like a monster. So I just don't think he'll be able to keep it up to 23. Like, another 9 games of him scoring at this pace is kind of unheard of. It would be cool, but I don't see it happening.
I didn't see it happening, but at this point, I'm kind of there. Like, really, because
It'd be sick.
I haven't seen anything that he's been doing that makes it look like this is unsustainable. Like, it's not like he's got a crazy high, shooting percentage where every shot he's taking is going in. Like, he's getting volume on the nets. He's taking shots from every position you can think of. He's doing incredible passes. Like, he's literally
cutting his way to the front of the net. Ugh.
Yeah, it's like Rick Nash in 07. Like, It's really, really great to see that he's actually using his frame and his skill set the way everybody's been calling for.
He's out here trying to make money. He's literally playing for dollars every time he's out there. Oh boy. Since you said Michael Scott, this just made me think we have to name this episode, because we've been saying, they're winning despite this and winning despite that. Michael has he has the classic cut off her nose to spider face. So we've been winning to spider face. Or how would we do that? Winning to spider shittiness. I don't know.
But see, it goes both ways too, because the Boston game, okay, we got to the 2-0 hole, but I think we played a great game. But nobody's talking about that game because we didn't get the extra point. We lost.
I think the Boston game was also overshadowed by the Bertuzzi thing, where he was laughing at Marchand. There were things still to take away from that game that showed that this team is not where it needs to be. If that was a measuring stick, they did play well, and I mean they did play well in the game against Tampa. Again, they just keep giving up goals whenever their top guys aren't on the ice, and that's going to be a problem. So, yeah, some guys are playing well. McCabe had a good game tonight. It was nice to see him back. Oh, what about I don't think anybody in Leafs Nation got my joke, but I said TJ Brody is the Kevin Pillar of the NHL. Do you get what I mean?
Diving?
No, so somebody was on a breakaway and he dove and had the perfect little tip just to get the puck off the guy's stick and not trip him or anything, and it was like the diving to save something that had no business being saved is the most Kevin Pillar move you can do.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, well, anybody got anything fun to close with? I did want to talk about the Alex Galchenyuk insanity, but if we go tomorrow, we'll talk about that.
I will say that I ended up taking my son to the OHL game in Brantford tonight. So the Bulldogs relocated to Brantford for a couple years.
Nice.
So they went from one of the biggest arenas in the OHL to the smallest. And let me tell you, it is a weird experience because you are right there at the ice, and it was great. if you get a chance to get there for a game this year or next year, definitely go. It's 100% worth it. And unfortunately, Montreal drafted Wi-Fi's little brother because he was pretty good. Scored 2 goals tonight. He had a filthy dangle and then a beautiful snipe.
Mini Scrabble.
Yeah,
Scrabble
so
to go.
You got Wi-Fi and Scrabble. Yeah.
Oh, God. Okay, well, like we said, we got Vancouver tomorrow. We might be back. What are you guys doing tomorrow night? Cool. Let's do it.
Should be.
Yeah, we got to get back into it. Yeah. Yeah, things go on, you know. So we're back, and we'll get some episodes out to you guys. Lots to talk about in the coming days. Hopefully, this team can turn things around, and if they don't, there's still things to talk about. Probably more.
Well, especially over the next couple games, because we have tomorrow against Vancouver, and then we have the 2 games in Sweden.
Yeah, and that'll be interesting if Willy's still on his streak to take over to Sweden. That'll be fun. Yep. Knock on wood. Was there anything else? I think that's it. We are sponsored by nobody. By nobody. Yeah, it does suck again that Liljegren won't be there, but yeah. Okay, well, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back. Love y'all.
Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Leafs Late Night, your night of post-game podcast. Available after every game on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible, and more.
Nothing? Somebody. Oh, me neither. We should do like, I don't know, since we always do post-credit things, we should do like a crossover episode soon. Really fill out our universe, you know?
Happy birthday, Marty.
Oh, is his birthday?
I saw him make a post. I don't know how late it was.
Oh, well, happy birthday.